All right, everybody. So our first topic of the day is going to be for Super Bowl 60, where it was the Seattle Seahawks there versus the New England Patriots there. And it was a game. Well, that's about all you can say. It was a game there where the Seattle.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say where the Seattle Seahawks beat the New England Patriots a whopping 29-13 there. It was pretty much they had the handle of them the entire game. I mean, it wasn't even really close. They dominated them on every side of the ball, offensively, defensively, special teams. For a moment there, I thought the kicker was gonna get the MVP. He had pretty much most of the points for most of it. I think he had like 4 field goals, I think it was. And I don't think Seattle didn't score a touchdown until after this first half, I believe.
Yeah, so they kicked a Super Bowl record 5 field goals. Jason Myers did,
Oh, 5, okay.
And then the first touchdown. You're right. The first touchdown didn't happen until early into the fourth quarter. So most of the game, it was just Seattle kicking field goals and the Patriots not scoring any points. So you are
Yeah.
right in that it wasn't really a great game, just because the difference in power between the Seahawks and the Patriots was just so obvious.
Very reminiscent of what happened last year, Eagles and the Chiefs there, where the Eagles just dominated the Chiefs on every side of the ball. Also very similar in the sense that, I mean, defense, I mean, they sacked Patrick Mahomes quite a bit and chased him around. I forgot what that stat was last year, but they said he ran all those yards, like when he was just scrambling, trying to run for his life. And this, I think they said totally Drake May, I'm sorry, had about I think 20 sacks this postseason. He was the most sacked QB all postseason there. He had 6 sacks total in the Super Bowl game, which was tied for the most of any sacks of any quarterback in a Super Bowl game.
Right.
So yeah, they just harassed him all night.
It really just felt like Drake May and the Patriots just weren't ready for prime time yet, because most of that roster is made up of rookies and first time players on the team, and you got a head coach who's his first year on the job, Mike Vrabel. So it really felt like I don't want to call them frauds, but they kind of were frauds in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a lot to think about of the fact that, I mean, if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt for Denver, Denver will probably be in the Super Bowl. And I know, playoff runs, I don't want to discredit anything New England or any other team. Things have to go your way a lot to get to a championship game, whether that be in the World Series, whether it be in the Super Bowl, whether that be an NBA championship. People are going to get hurt. That happens. And you just think like, yeah, I mean, if Bo Nix doesn't break a bone in his ankle, Denver faces off against Patriots, they win that game, they go. Do you think if it's Denver and Seattle, do you think it's the same outcome? Do you think Seattle wins, or do you think, I know it's a big what if there?
I think it's a similar battle in terms of defenses playing well, because both Seattle and Denver's defense were really good. But I think it's a closer game, because I think Bo Nix is a more clutch quarterback, because they had so many fourth quarter comeback wins over the regular season. The Broncos did, and I think it's a better game overall. But yeah, the Seahawks just kind of controlled the narrative the entire time, even though it wasn't a high scoring game until they decided to score touchdowns. They just controlled the narrative the entire time.
Yeah. And shout out to Seattle. Congrats to them. This is their second Super Bowl win. And also with them, I mean, I didn't really have much a strong investment. I mean, after my Bears got knocked out, I really didn't there. And I guess I was kind of maybe rooting for Seattle. Sam Darnold's got a good comeback story. Sam Darnold was the 3rd pick in the first round. He's part of that 2018 draft class. Amongst him, it was Josh Allen, it was Lamar Jackson. It's kind of a great draft class. People consider that. And he's the guy that actually has made it to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl out of that draft class. There with that. Who could have predicted that? And, he bounced around from all these different teams. He goes to Minnesota, supposed to be the backup there, has like a 1-year deal with them. Supposed to be the backup to the rookie they drafted, J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy gets hurt in practice. Then he has to be the starter, leads that team to, I think they win 13 games season.
Yeah, they won 14 games, and then, admittedly, the last 2 games of that season didn't go great, but he was easily the best Vikings quarterback they've had for, like, more than a decade, and I bet everyone is just sick to their stomach in the Vikings building for letting this guy go.
Especially the year that the Vikings had because they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs. JJ McCarthy, he was in and out all year, injuries, and he didn't really play well when he was in. Maybe he can have a better. Hopefully, he has a better sophomore year.
Hopefully,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so it's a good kind of, and then he goes to Seattle. It's this comeback story. He plays, people think like all that one year was a fluke and he's not going to be able to replicate it again. And he goes to Seattle, is able to replicate it, takes the team to the Super Bowl, and they win. He didn't end up winning. Usually, a quarterback wins typically in a game. Super Bowl MVP. He did not win it. Kenneth Walker won it. The running back for the team. I believe he had 135 yards. Let me look up his stats real quick to make sure. But yeah, he had
And
135. Yeah,
and I think he had 1 touchdown, but I think the main reason he won the MVP is just because he got him in the red zone so often and, like, ran the clock down so effectively that it effectively just ended the Patriots' game plan before it could start.
yeah, he had 27 carries on 27 carries and 135 yards there. So he did not get a touchdown. No touchdown for him there. I know they called that one back that he bursted out big with.
Oh,
They
right,
called
right.
it back with a flag. Yeah, but he ended up winning. I'm always happy when a non-quarterback gets MVP, because it's always a given that they're going to get MVP. So I was kind of happy. Yeah, it was the running back who kind of got it there. I said, hey, maybe again, if that don't happen, maybe you give it to the kicker. I mean, when is that ever going to happen? He's going to get all those damn field goals.
I mean,
Uh,
the only time a special teams guy ever won MVP was in the 95 Super Bowl with the Packers and Patriots with Devin Hester, but I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
Yeah. And Sam Darnold played a decent game. He was 19 to 38, had 202 yards, 1 touchdown. But mainly it was defense did a lot of the heavy lifting,
Mhm.
a lot of takeaways, turnovers, like I said, harassing Drake May, the pick six there. So yeah, they did a lot of the heavy lifting there in that game. But he played decent. And then I think, when you have a defense like that, the best thing to do is not turn over the ball, play good, play conservative. Look at CJ Stroud and what happens when you have a great defense and you turn over the ball 5 times and even
Right.
that, hey, so look what that happened. So you did what he did what he was supposed to do. And
He didn't mess it up. That was the best thing he did is just not, like, try to force throws or mess it up, but,
yeah,
I mean, I know we're talking about, like, "Oh, Seattle dominated everything." The Patriots actually did play really good defense for the first 3 quarters of the game, and Christian Gonzalez, who's, like, one of the defensive guys on the Patriots, he did excellently. He's, like, one of the few good spots on the Patriots just overall, but the Patriots did their job well on the defensive line, I thought.
yeah. Drake May in comparison, so he was 27 to 43, 295 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His QBR was a 16.3, so it's pretty bad there, rough. Sam Darnold's QBR was a 53. So yeah, so pretty rough day there. Do you think? And Drake May was the runner-up MVP there. For this
Mhm.
year's Matthew Stafford ended up winning MVP for the year. What do you think is the future here, Patriots? You think they rebound? You think they possibly come back next year? You think Drake May he ascends even more, wins MVP next year? What's kind of your predictions there?
So, I think the Patriots are gonna regress slightly. I don't think they're gonna, like, full-blown meltdown, but I think they are gonna regress because they're gonna have a tougher schedule. Let's be real, a lot of the opponents they played this year were sort of bottom of the barrel teams that had fired coaches or had a bunch of organizational problems, like the Jets and the Browns and stuff like that. But I think they're gonna slightly regress, but I think Drake May is gonna continue to be a good quarterback. I don't expect another Cinderella run like this, but maybe a wild card spot if I had to just guess right now. I think they have a better shot at getting to the playoffs than, say, the Miami Dolphins or the Jets in their own division, or even, the Browns or the Bengals in the AFC. So, kind of
Yeah.
middle of the road is what I'm predicting with them next year.
Yeah. How old is Drake May? Drake May is like 23, I believe, 23. He's a young guy. But it's always not a guarantee. It's always not certain. Like I said, a lot of stuff has to go right for you to make it to the Super Bowl. Like one year Joe Burrow made it to the Super Bowl, everybody was like, "Oh man, he's gonna be back again. Don't worry, Joe Burrow." And his ass ain't sniffed the Super Bowl since
Oh
since he was
boy.
that one year. Who did they lose
I
to? They lost to what, LA that one
Yeah,
year? Yeah.
they lost to the Rams. That was Matthew Stafford's one Super Bowl win was against the Bengals, but I
Yeah.
feel so bad for Joe Burrow because the reason he is not doing better is because the Bengals are such a terrible organization. I mean, don't get me started on the Bengals, but they are the reason Joe Burrow is not doing better in his career.
Yeah. But Joe Burrow, yeah. And that's no shade at Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. I think he's an elite guy. It's just that, yeah, it's tough to let me weak said I actually played in the Super Bowl once. Yeah. He was the guy that ran on the field. That counts there. He ran for those yards there. The guy who took his shirt off. The
Right.
streaker. There. It's funny that guy when he was running, he saw like he was running, he saw the one football player chasing, he was like, oh shit, okay, I'll slide. I'm not gonna get tackled by him. But yeah, so but yeah, it's not a guarantee you're ever gonna make it back again. I mean, fuck the Patriots. They were what terrible for like 8 years. All of a sudden, they go back to the Super Bowl. Teams ain't been to one Super Bowl. They already back after having a few bad seasons. It's like, man,
I
fuck you.
I gotta be honest. I have an allergic reaction to ever seeing the Patriots win host the Lombardi Trophy ever again. Like I've seen them win 6 Super Bowls in my lifetime. I don't need to see them do anymore.
Yeah. Like I said, because of their record this year, they're gonna have a tougher record. They're gonna have a tougher schedule. I'm sorry, next year. So we'll see how they do. AFC, you still got the Bills. They're hanging around. Can they finally break through the glass ceiling? Can they finally make it to a Super Bowl? Josh Allen, can he finally be able to do that? Fulfill the prophecy that everybody wants him to fulfill. Can the Ravens put it together? Lamar, can that happen? Who has some pretty tough competition there? The Chiefs are. I don't think they're going to rebound. Patrick Mahomes is still
No.
going to be out for probably the majority of the bulk of next year because he tore his ACL probably like what, early January. So he's still got time. So he's still going to be out for majority of next season too.
Right. Yeah, all those teams kind of have tough situations because like the Bills and Ravens both changed coaches this offseason, so they're gonna have to have some adjustments to that. And the Chiefs, I mean, you never want to count them out, but the Chiefs are gonna have an uphill battle with the Mahomes injury and everything involving that.
Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, what do you think is the future for Seattle? You think they possibly come back, they repeat, they do another Super Bowl appearance? What do you think?
I think Seattle's going to be a really good team for the next 3 or 4 seasons because Darnold is on a three has 2 more years left on his deal with them, and he's not being paid $50 million a year like Mahomes or Allen or Trevor Lawrence or any of those guys. And I think they're gonna have a really strong defense because the coaching staff is just great. I'm a Packers fan. I don't want to play them in the playoffs, so that's a ringing endorsement of their future, I think.
Mm. Yeah, NFC's tough. I mean, you still got the Eagles. They got a new offensive coordinator. See what happens with them. Then you also have LA, who they could come back. They could make another good run there. Matthew Stafford still maybe has like a few more years of his peak. So
Mhm.
he could still be tough competition. Then on top of that, you still got people like the Bears, people like the Packers there you mentioned there. People like, I don't know. I think Detroit, I mean, who knows? Maybe they can rebound. Maybe they can have something again there.
Yeah.
Like I said, Minnesota, maybe JJ McCarthy figures it out in his sophomore year. I know he's become like a meme and everything like that. When a quarterback's terrible, he's become like a meme. But like I said, maybe he can rebound. So, do you think the NFC is tougher than the AFC right now?
I think so. I mean, I think yeah, like all those teams are really good teams. Even Detroit, I know they didn't make the playoffs. But I trust Detroit to figure it out and get better next season, but I'm more scared to play, if I were Packers are in the NFC, but like I'm more scared to play teams like the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Rams more than I would be to play, the Chiefs or the Ravens or anyone like that, or the Steelers or anyone like that.
Mm, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I mean, game overall, I mean, wasn't really that exciting of a game. Wasn't a really a, you're expecting like with a championship game, like, hey, nail biter, down to the wire, something like that you're expecting. Now, if it's my team, I don't really care. I want a blowout, 40-0. I don't care if anybody's in the
Right.
pain. Fuck that. But yeah, I mean, so it really wasn't on that front. Do you think this was better or worse than last year game?
Was this better than last year's? I think this is a slightly better game than last year because it was with teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl recently. The problem with last year's game was because everyone was tired of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles were there like the 2 years ago prior to that. So it wasn't really like anything new. So even though the game itself wasn't great, at least seeing different teams made it more interesting to me, at least.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would say mm, it's a little better than last year. It was a closer game because I think what was the game with Eagles and Chiefs? It was like what 30 something to 20.
It,
What was
it
that?
was it was 40-26,
40.
but it was 40-26, but like the final score looks a lot more respectable than it
Mhm.
really was because all the Chiefs points were when it
Garbage
was
time.
like, yeah, we're garbage time points, so it doesn't even count really.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, that was just that was a rough one. But yeah, so we'll see there. That was our talk there. Super Bowl 60.
Mhm,
Congratulations again to the Seattle Seahawks, city of Seattle there. The 12s, as they call the fans there. So shout out to them.
mhm.
Very awesome there.
Yeah,
Uh,
good job, everyone.
yeah, yeah.